and this is the Jester's Couch. You're on Jester's Vlogs. We talk about stupidity here. What kind of stupidity, you might ask? All kinds of stupidity. All kinds. But today we're talking about probably the stupidest kind of stupid, and that's racism. Those of you who don't know, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. My whole life I grew up thinking that racism was just normal. Blacks hate blacks, white hate white. That's just the way it is. I just inverted that, but you fuckers know what I meant. And there's no mixing. You don't do that. It's just not okay. It ain't done. Ain't the way the Bible said to do it. There's a million other dumbass reasons that they say, the races should remain separate and all this other shit. But then I got to experience the world. I joined the military, went around, went to other places, and found, what do you know, when you leave the American South, you lose a lot of that shit. And I wonder why that is. I wonder why the South refuses to move forward and be more progressive with its race relations. I personally think it's because of how rural it is. I think in the cities, there's a lot of people to communicate with. There's more people doing more things with more people. So you are bound to run into gay, black, transgender, anything that you don't like, you're bound to run into it. And when you run into that person and find out that they are not a demon with horns that want to eat your soul, but just a normal individual like you that happens to either have a different sexual preference or a different skin color or whatever the hell it is, particularly the different skin color, you get the fuck over that really quick. Really quick. But sadly, that's not enough for some Americans. We still got overt racists like the KKK and matter of fact, out of the top 10 hate groups in the country, I'm pretty sure 7 or 8 of them, it's either 7 or 8, check it out, let me know in the comments, are all white, racist, right-wing Nazi groups. Neo-Nazi really is the right way to say it, but they're uber conservative right-wingers. They're not fucking Muslims, they're not fucking black people, they're white people. That's the main violent people in this country. White people. They're the ones that kill the most people. Alright? White people kill way more people every year than black people do. Way more. Here's another interesting stat for you. Did you know most white violence is white on white and most black violence is black on black? There is almost no black on white or white on black violence. It does not happen very much. Why? Because if you ask some of these overt racists, they'll tell you that all blacks are murderers and whites are good, hard-working, honest Christian folk. By the way, I'm white. I'm not a Christian. Alright? Fuck Jesus. If you love Jesus, you can have Jesus. I say fuck Jesus. Not for you, just for me. He's not real. I don't worship him. So does that mean I'm not in your club now, right? See, now I'm just as bad as the niggers, as you say, right? It's not just racism. It's ignorance is my point. I might have just said something highly offensive to the lot of you, but how many of you really thought about murdering me over it? And if you just answered yes to that question, you are the problem. Not part of the problem. You are the problem. It's called the First Amendment, man. And just like I will absolutely support and die for your right to pledge to Jesus, pray to Jesus, play with rattlesnakes for Jesus, hide Easter eggs for Jesus, decorate Christmas trees for Jesus, whatever the fuck you want to do for Jesus, Muhammad, Allah, Buddha, whoever you want to put up on that pedestal, I will support it. But at the same time, you have to support my right to have no pedestal. And I feel like you can have the exact same conversation when it comes to race. If you want to have a white pride meeting, I don't give a shit. You want to have a meeting that talks about how whites are better than everybody else. I'm not going to come, but okay, you can have that. But as soon as you step out of that meeting hall and start going up to other people, telling them that it's true, or signs, or fucking, especially if you start physically attacking others, that's when you cross the line into no longer freedom. You're one-sided. You're no longer allowing anyone else their freedom. You think that your opinions trump their freedom, and they don't. They just don't. Matter of fact, in some cases, facts don't even trump freedom. They just don't. I'll give you a great example, and that's gun violence. There are over 30,000 gun deaths a year in this country. Over 30,000. That includes everything. Accidents, suicide, murder. It's all here. Over 30,000. We don't do shit about guns. We have more guns than anybody else. We have more guns than people. It's about 1 to 1, really, but depending on who you ask, we have a lot of guns. Freedom. Second Amendment. Freedom. Freedom. What I find interesting, though, is you go 2 amendments down and change the skin color to a black person, and it's not, that's what they get, right? That's the 4th Amendment, by the way. It's search and seizure. It is illegal to search or seize without a warrant or absolute probable cause. And probable cause is not I smelt dope. Probable cause is not a subjective reasoning by the officer. It must be absolute, documented, objective evidence. I saw a gun on the front seat. I saw a pound of coke. He was covered in blood. He smelled like alcohol and blew on the breathalyzer. These are things that it's not just me as the cop saying it happened, but I can prove it. I can verify it. One last thing. These overt racists, they bug me, but I have respect for them. Not as, their ideas, but as people. I respect them because they know their beliefs are dumb. They have to know they're dumb. Everyone hates them, but they do it anyway. That takes balls. They're wrong. They're idiots. They need their minds changed, but they're brave. The ones I can't stand, the ones I really can't fucking stand, and you're out there, one of you might even be watching this. It's like my buddy. I got a really good buddy. I'm not going to name him, but he's one of my best friends. He is the most racist person I know. He won't use the N-word. That's what he calls it. He won't say nigger. He won't say it. Somehow has magical powers. He doesn't have a problem with interracial dating. He has black friends. He has white friends. The reason he's the most racist person I know is because he's the type of person who, when you start talking about social issues, will blame drug dealing on the blacks. Will blame all violence on the blacks. Will blame the poverty on the blacks on laziness. And he quoted a statistic to me the other day that really, really pissed me off. He says, did you know that black Americans account for 32% of our welfare system, but only account for 12% of the population? I looked it up. He's right. That is actually true. And if you don't think about it for more than 10 seconds, that does seem a little odd, doesn't it? That a third of the welfare goes to almost 10% of the people. But in reality, blacks may only make up 12% of the population. But did you know this stat, which is also true? The average white family's net worth is $100,000. The average black family net worth is less than 20. So maybe it's not that they're lazy. Maybe it's because we've been keeping them down for the last, 500 years. They're broke. They can't feed their kids. It has nothing to do with laziness. If it were true that the harder you work, the more money you make, then how come fucking sharecroppers don't make shit? How come the guy who just fixed my water line outside with his fucking hands covered in mud is making shit for money? But Donald fucking Trump is born into $4 million and has now got $4 billion with a B in the bank. Why? He didn't work harder than me. He never did. I'll tell him that to his face. I am right now. Donald, you don't work harder than me, dude. You don't. You don't even know what fucking work is. Work is not putting on a suit and going and talking to a bunch of fucks about money or whatever you're going to do with that money. That's not work. That's negotiations. That's deal making. It's not fucking work. So I guess to conclude, the point I'd like to make is that racism in this country is systemic, but I think it really roots back to poverty. And I think the biggest problem is white people aren't poor enough. A lot of white people have no fucking clue how poor the rest of the fucking country is.